You probably imagine ancient humans spending every waking hour hunting mammoths, fighting predators, and struggling to survive. But the real answer is far stranger. Because your ancestors were often doing something that might look surprisingly familiar, they were waiting. When you picture prehistoric life, your brain fills in the gaps with constant action, endless danger, relentless movement. Yet, anthropologists who have studied modern hunter gatherer societies have repeatedly found that daily life often included long stretches of conversation, childcare, tool repair, storytelling, and simple observation. Does that change the picture in your mind? The image of nonstop survival makes for exciting movies. Reality was more complicated. Your ancestors were efficient because wasting energy could be costly, and evolution tends to reward organisms that solve problems while spending as little effort as necessary. Why sprint when walking works? You wake up and check your phone. Your ancestors woke up and checked the sky. The weather determined everything. A shift in temperature could change migration routes. Dark clouds could signal danger or opportunity. Reading the environment was not a hobby. It was a survival skill developed over thousands of generations. Could you imagine paying that much attention? Then came social life. Humans are intensely social animals. Research by anthropologist Robin Dunbar suggests that the size and complexity of human social groups played a major role in shaping the evolution of your unusually large brain. Relationships mattered, alliances mattered, reputation mattered. Who shared food? Who could be trusted? A great deal of time was spent maintaining these connections. People talked, they laughed, they argued. Stories passed knowledge from one generation to the next. Through stories, people remembered dangerous places, seasonal patterns, and the social expectations. Entertainment and education often became the same thing. Could a campfire conversation save your life? Children were rarely left to figure things out alone. They watched. They copied. Psychologist Michael Tomasello has argued that humans possess a remarkable capacity for shared intention and cultural learning. Your ancestors learned by observing others closely and participating in group activities from a young age. Knowledge accumulated because it could be taught. Food gathering also looked different than many people assume. Hunting happened. Gathering happened. But gathering plant foods often provided a substantial portion of daily calories in many hunter-gatherer societies, which challenged older assumptions that survival revolved entirely around dramatic hunts. Did your mental image leave out half the picture? Anthropologist Richard Lee famously studied the Ju-Hwansi people of southern Africa and found that they frequently worked fewer hours obtaining food than people expected. This did not mean life was easy. Uncertainty remained, illness remained, loss remained. But constant exhaustion was not guaranteed. Sometimes there was downtime. During those quieter moments, tools needed maintenance. Spears had to be repaired, containers had to be woven. Clothing required attention. A small investment in preparation could prevent catastrophe later. How often do you prepare only after problems appear? Movement shaped everyday existence. You were built for it. Research by evolutionary biologist Daniel Lieberman has emphasized how deeply physical activity influenced human evolution. Walking long distances was normal. Squatting was normal. Carrying children was normal. The human body adapted to regular movement distributed throughout the day. Exercise was not a separate activity. Life itself provided movement. Then there was the constant awareness of risk. Predators existed. Accidents happened. Infections could become deadly. Environmental hazards could appear without warning. Yet fear alone could not dominate every moment. Remaining permanently terrified would interfere with cooperation, learning, and decision-making. How do you balance caution with living? Perhaps the most overlooked activity of all was simply paying attention. Your ancestors noticed things, tracks in the soil, changes in bird behavior, subtle shifts in plant growth. The modern world often overwhelms you with notifications designed to capture attention artificially. Ancient environments demanded attention because important information was woven directly into the landscape. Missing a detail could carry consequences. Time itself may have felt different. There were routines. There were seasons. But there were no calendars filled months in advance and no glowing screens counting every passing second. Daily rhythms followed environmental cues, social needs, and immediate priorities. What happens to the mind when urgency becomes constant? Your ancestors also cared deeply about belonging. Exclusion hurt, acceptance mattered. Studies by psychologist Naomi Eisenberger have shown that social rejection activates some of the same neural regions associated with physical pain. The distress you feel after being ignored or excluded is not irrational weakness. It reflects ancient pressures where social isolation could threaten survival. The emotional systems you carry today were shaped long ago. Even play had value. Children played, adults played. Games provided opportunities to practice skills, strengthen relationships, and explore social boundaries within relatively safe settings. Laughter reduced tension. Shared experiences reinforced group identity. Could joy itself have been adaptive? None of this means prehistoric life was idyllic. Hardship existed, tragedy existed. Many people died young. Resources sometimes disappeared. Environmental conditions could become devastating. Yet reducing ancient humanity to endless suffering erases the complexity that made humans successful in the first place. Your ancestors adapted because they were flexible. They rested when possible. They cooperated when necessary. They learned continuously. They balanced effort with efficiency, vigilance with connection, and preparation with spontaneity. Those same tendencies still shape your decisions today, even when the environment has changed dramatically. So, what did ancient humans actually do all day? They watched the world around them. They maintained relationships. They gathered information. They solved problems. They cared for children. They repaired what was broken. They moved their bodies. They shared stories. And sometimes they simply sat together while the fire burned low and the stars emerged overhead. You still carry the legacy of those ordinary moments, the urge to belong, the habit of storytelling, the instinct to conserve energy, the need to pay attention, the comfort found in familiar faces. You probably imagine ancient humans spending every waking hour hunting mammoths, fighting predators, and struggling to survive. But perhaps the real story is that the small, ordinary things you do each day are exactly what helped your ancestors survive in the first place.